It's all wood. You know, it's all wood. It's wood from your head to your toes, from your fingernails to your brain. It's all about wood. Now these bristles on my face is a kind of wood. And I'm going to chop some trees down now, otherwise known as shaving. But as you saw on the little insert, the close-up of and bristles on my face. In fact, those bristles don't look any different to this field here. You see where the maize has been chopped down by a combine harvester, which is basically just a giant razor which raises the maize to the ground, shaves it off, cuts it off. And that's what we're going to do now. And you get that saying, as above, so below. And that's the little theme I'm talking about today, is everything that's alive is a form of wood. Different classes of wood. Some fine wood, some rough wood. I would designate a big old hoary oak tree in the forest as elemental wood. But if you have a look at anything through a microscope, you see that it's all made up of a fibrous, woody substance. Even those hairs there is a kind of wood. If you've ever looked at a piece of jerky beef or some dried meat, you look at it close, a microscope or with a really good magnifying glass, you'll see the structure is just like wood. Even if you look into your brain, you'll find your brain is a very, very fine type of wood, but nevertheless, it's wood. It's a foresty brain actually of wood. And the Greek word for wood, or the Greek word for tree, is dendron. Greek word for wood is xylo. But all those little nerve cells in your brain are called dendrons. Trees, little nerve trees. So you've got a forest in your brain, also made out of wood. And everything that you eat is kind of a wood. But wood on different qualities of fineness. An apple and a piece of apple wood is no different really. It's just different quality of fineness. And you find if you look throughout nature that everything is wood. So what I'm trying to say is it's all wood, and what I guess I'm talking about is macrocosm and microcosm, the large and the small. Because if you look at something close enough or from far enough away, you always see it look quite similar. It's like a fractal thing. Remember when you were a kid and you got a microscope for your birthday and you spend all your time looking at bits of dust and hairs and chips of wood and stuff you found on the floor, and you get bored after half an hour because it all looks the same. Then the microscope goes on top of the shelf again and never gets used again, because you realise you're not going to see wonderful things like little blood cells floating around. All you see is this fibrous matter, like wood, everywhere, all made out of the same material. Say for example, this camera was like a microscope and you could zoom right in on my face, onto my skin here, where we looked before at the bristles. And if we went in close enough, you'd see there's little tiny pieces of flakes of skin made out of a fibrous material, not dissimilar to these little flakes of wood. And back to the child with the microscope. If you've got a good enough microscope, if you've got an electron microscope and you look at a hair, then you see that it's just loads of little pieces of this stuff all fixed up together like that. Even something like a hair, it's just little tiny bits of wood overlapping. Now, I spoke before about your brain being a forest, and think about this forest of your brain and all the nerves in your body going up to the brain. Well, each one of those nerves is like stretched out dendrons, and with a little bit of insulation around them. So that could be your spinal cord, or the nerves going from your eye to your brain. And it's all so simple, really. People don't seem to be able to grasp how material this world is, and when people get lost and they don't know where their place is in the world, I think it's really good to bring yourself down and just try and conceive yourself as pieces of wood. Let's think about aliens coming from another distant galaxy, and they come to Earth and they look down and they can't distinguish between people and plants. They just see the life form there, and they wouldn't be able to see the difference between a nerve cell or a gorilla in a forest eating the banana, because it would all be part of one thing. It's all just a matter of perspective, zooming in on things. And if you zoom out really far, then you would realise it's all just one massive organic wooden machine, because that's the nature of life on Earth. Wood and water and blood is the sap in the wood. The thing about everything you've eaten has lived. You can't eat anything that hasn't lived. You can't eat stones. You can't eat minerals pure. You can't chew on crystals. You've got to have something that's changed the basic elements into life before you can eat them and use them to make your life, because life lives from life. That's why we would never be able to see an alien, because they're outside our life form, and we'd have the wrong perspective, we'd have the wrong lens on, we wouldn't see them. This is not difficult stuff. It's very, very simple. It's basic. It's what you see when you're a child licking bits of wood on the floor, when you're crawling around as a toddler getting to know the world. You're not apart from the world then, you're just one with the world before you start to learn to speak. And it's all just wood, just like you are. And we only make those barriers between ourselves and the outside world when we get older, when our ego develops. So I think when people start to lose track of life, and they start to grasp for things like angels in the sky, or gods, or mythical figures to help them through life, all you've got to do is look around yourself at wood, and you realise then you're at home. That's why walking in the forest is so nice, because it's home. And people who get depression or mental illness often feel alienated from the world, as if they're like a little island floating in space. But with my simple little theories about wood, there's nowhere to go. You're at home, and this piece of wood here is no different to this piece of wood in here. Have a great day.